Hi guys, I hope you are well and that you all had a glorious bank holiday weekend. I can't believe it's another week, like a whole nother week has gone past since the last time I was sat here talking to you all. It just seems crazy how quickly the weeks are going. But as always, it's lovely to see you guys. If you're just joining, do say hi because I can't always tell who's watching unless you say hi in the comments. So if you fancy saying hi, please do. I wanted to talk a little bit about anxiety today. I know anxiety is something that a lot of you guys deal with regularly, not just during the current pandemic. But what I've noticed when I've been talking to lots of you is that the easing of the lockdown restrictions has kind of rekindled an anxiety within you. And it sounds like, a lot of you are struggling to cope with that. So I wanted to just focus today a little bit on anxiety, kind of talk a little bit about my thoughts on it, and try and offer you, a little bit of advice on how you might cope with that. I know for many of you it takes a lot of your mental energy and determination to get out and do the things that you want to do the things that you need to do, and to do the things that, make you feel better. And as hard as it is, you do it and you get yourself into a routine and you develop support networks and friendships, and you get through it. And the more you do these things that feel hard, the easier they become, because you're teaching yourself that the thing you feel anxious about really wasn't that bad after all. So of course, a lot of people's normal routines have just stopped overnight. And, I know from talking to a lot of you that it was actually a relief for some of you to no longer have to kind of fight this feeling of anxiety and fear, to kind of get yourself out there and face the world and live your lives. So, that was a relief to a lot of you when, we were locked down and told that we couldn't go out even if we wanted to. And now that we're starting to be allowed back outside again, albeit still with some restrictions, some of you are going to feel like you're starting from scratch and perhaps worrying that the progress that you made before now might have been lost. I wanted to share my thoughts on that a little bit, and just maybe sort of give you some hints and suggestions of things that you could maybe do to combat that. So I just want to stress, this is not a public service announcement. If you're not sure about what you are or aren't allowed to do, please check the government websites, or a reputable news organisation like the BBC or Sky. But this is just, if you are aware that what you're allowed to do is changing, how you might cope with your feelings around that. Hi Jackie, lovely to see you. So when research is undertaken on what frightens people the most, the unknown is always in the top 10. And of course, there's lots of that at the moment. We don't have our normal routines. It's affecting people's sleep, which then affects our ability to cope. Every day feels like a Saturday, which, is going to affect people's motivation. It really is a difficult time, and it's affecting lots of people's mental health and causing a lot of anxiety as well. What I've also noticed is that people are kind of ranking their suffering. I'm not allowed to be sad because, I've got a safe home and I've got family and friends, and some people haven't. And it's like we get into this mindset that only the people that have it the absolute worst are allowed to feel struggle, and that really helps no one. Allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. It's okay to feel. We're all experiencing grief, fear, anxiety, uncertainty, vulnerability. And the only way that we can get through that is to acknowledge it. If we spend all of our effort and energy trying to pretend like we're okay when we're not, that actually is the thing that's going to stop us from being okay. So, it may feel counterintuitive, but, if whatever you're feeling, allow yourself to feel it. There will always be someone going through something different, and it may be worse, but it doesn't take away your experience and your feelings. Having said that, it is important to retain perspective, and it's that perspective that often keeps us going and helps us through those difficult moments. So acknowledge what you're feeling, but do try and maintain a bit of perspective as well. Hi Marie, lovely to see you today. One way of doing that is to practice gratitude. So focus on the moments of happiness. I think sometimes we feel like, all moments have got to be happy and life has got to be happy, but actually it doesn't work that way. Not every moment is going to be happy. Some moments are going to be stressful or sad or scary or, whatever. But, when you focus on those moments of happiness, they're the things that are going to get you through. So, like I said, there's no such thing as being happy all the time. And if we were to draw up a pie chart, you might notice that you spend quite a lot of your time on worry. But I promise you there are things to be happy about. It might be things that you don't even notice. So I would urge you to capture those good moments if you can, maybe by writing them down at the time, or maybe spending some time at the start of the day writing down what you're happy or grateful for, or time at the end of the day writing down what you're grateful for, or happy things that have happened during the day, things that you have to feel happy about. Instead of looking at the things that we don't have or can't do, try looking at the things that we do have. Your health, your home, your friends, your family. That first cup of tea in the morning, because that always tastes better, doesn't it, than any other cup of tea during the day? Or is that just me that feels like that? I really appreciate that first cup of tea. I know it's hard, but try not to let your minds run away with you. We just don't know what's going to happen, so it really is futile wasting our time worrying about what next week's going to be like, what's going to happen in a couple of weeks time. Like, we just don't know, so it really is futile spending hours or days worrying about what the future might look like and what might happen. If that means taking things an hour at a time, or a day at a time, or 10 minutes at a time, then so be it. That's okay. We don't necessarily know what next week's going to look like, but we do know that right now, in this moment, we're safe. And, what you might like to do is write a list of all of your worries. Get them all out of your head and onto paper. Being able to read through your thoughts can give you a fresh perspective on them. And once you've written them down, you can then go back to them at a later time, either later that day or the next day, and actually cross off the things that you worried about that didn't happen, so that next time you make that association, your brain will know, oh, actually the last time I worried about this, it didn't happen, so actually how much of my time is this worth spending on worrying about this now? Focus on what you are in control of. Most of us are in control of how we spend our day. So start the day off right. Get up and stretch, and make a cup of tea or coffee, listen to the birds, before reaching for your phone and taking in the news or other people's thoughts and perspective on social media. If the first pieces of information you are taking on board as soon as you wake up are sad or negative, that can have a real impact on your mood for the rest of today. So, being in control of your day really does start from the moment that you wake up. Give yourself a goal to achieve. It doesn't have to be big. You could try and make it a fun thing, something that you want to do. this is a really good opportunity to refocus on yourself and the things that matter to you. You know, I feel like life can kind of drag us along behind it sometimes. And so in a way, it's almost like someone's pressed the pause button and given us a chance to breathe again. You know, have a think. What do I enjoy? What's important to me? What do I value? You know, and have a think of how much of your life is spent doing those things. You know, how much of what you do is important to you? How much of it do you enjoy? You know, now is the time to start readdressing some of those imbalances. Hello, Clive. Hi, Georgia. Lovely to see you guys this morning. The next thing that I would say is don't expect yourself to be able to do now what you couldn't do before. You know, just because the guidance has been eased a little bit, it doesn't mean that you suddenly, you know, are this new person who doesn't have the same challenges as you had before. You know, if you found things difficult before, chances are you're still going to find them difficult now, maybe even more so. So be realistic and be kind to yourself. Give yourself small tasks. And remember to praise yourself for them. You know, some days those small tasks are big wins. So celebrate them. And just because the government is saying that we can now go out for unlimited exercise, it doesn't mean that you have to. Do what's right for you. Do what you feel comfortable with. And, you know, if things feel too much, you know, make small goals. Make them achievable and realistic. Now, human connection is really important, and we know this from research into depression and loneliness. So utilise your support network. The things that we worry about normally don't seem half as bad once we've spoken out loud about them. And it's normal to feel whatever we're feeling, and talking about it might help the other person too. If you'd rather speak to someone anonymously, there are a number of helplines that are still active during this time. The Samaritans, Anxiety UK, Calm, which is one for men, Mind, Trust Links. You know, we're still here for you to talk to if you need us. I'm going to leave all of the numbers in the comments below this video once the video finishes, so you'll have all the numbers there. Another thing you could try is meditation. There are some really good free apps for your phone that might help, like Calm and Headspace. Lots of really simple guided meditations just to like help calm your mind and bring you back to the present moment, because sometimes, you know, when we worry and when we overthink things, we can end up far away in the future. You know, just small mindfulness techniques. You know, I'm not talking about, you know, sitting and meditating for an hour out in the garden. You know, these are really short, snappy things that you can do just to kind of help you to feel calm and bring you back to the now. I did a video a few weeks ago on some really simple mindfulness techniques, which I think is now over on our YouTube page. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube, please do so. I'm not sure how many subscribers we've got now, but we need 100. And it's just a really good way of accessing all of the great content that is on the Trust Links Live page, but without having to scroll. So all of the videos are there. If you use YouTube, they're really simple to access. So trying to understand your anxiety can really help. Keeping a diary of when your anxiety is bad can really help you to track any triggers that there might be, so that you can use that information to make changes to anything that might be making your anxiety worse. So the things you might want to record are, you know, where you are, what you've just been doing immediately before the anxious feelings started to take hold. What are you about to do? How are you feeling in your body? You know, any thoughts that you can capture that are going through your mind. Not only will this help you to recognise a pattern if there is one, and stop anything unnecessary that you might be doing that is triggering those anxious thoughts, like, I don't know, going on social media or, you know, anything. But when you go on to do whatever it is that may have made you feel anxious, and nothing bad happens, that then gives your brain some evidence to refer to next time you get those anxious thoughts and feelings, because it tells you that that activity isn't worth worrying about, because actually nothing bad happens when you do it. And in doing this, you can also capture some of your anxious thoughts so you can start to challenge them. So yeah, those are just some thoughts from me about anxiety at this time. There's some really good information on the internet if you wanted to have a read on like the Mind website, the NHS website. There's lots of really good videos that have been posted on Trustedix Live so far as well. So you might find that sort of having a look at those might sort of give you some comfort and make you feel a bit calmer. I hope some of what I've said has been useful. If there is anything that you guys do to help manage your anxiety already, maybe pop it in the comments. Someone else might read it and find it really helpful. And guys, if you have any idea of what I can talk about next week, please do also leave a message, because that would be really helpful. Because at the moment I don't know what I'm going to talk about. So yeah, if you do have any ideas, please let me know. Okay, so that's all from me. I hope you all have a pleasant and rewarding Tuesday. It's the start of a brand new week. It's a 4-day week, which is always good. And the sun's shining and the sky's blue. It's bright out there. Yeah, I hope whatever you do today is wonderful. And I will see you next week.